Hey guys, my name is Eric Ping and I'm the founder of Daily Fantasy Nerd. I'm going to go over how to use Daily Fantasy Nerd's Bankroll Tracker to improve your daily fantasy contest entry strategy and bankroll management processes. So we'll go ahead and get started by clicking the Bankroll tab. And normally if you haven't used the Bankroll Tracker before, this will be empty and you'll need to click the Upload tab to upload your entry history first. So if you click the How do I get my entry history link, it'll bring up a pop-up that will show you how to grab your entry history from FanDuel, DraftKings, and Yahoo. So just follow the number instructions and download the files. For FanDuel, it'll actually split by each 1,000 entries that you have. So if you have more than 1,000 entries, you'll need to download all of them and then upload them all at once. DraftKings and Yahoo have one file each, so you don't have to worry about that. So once you've downloaded your entry history, then you can drag and drop them over to this box here, or you can click Choose Files here. And you can upload, let's say, DraftKings and FanDuel at the same time. You just select all of those files together. So we'll go ahead and start with the examples that we have here. I want to thank everybody who sent in their entry histories. I got a lot of positive feedback. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to give responses to everybody, but I tried to respond to at least half of the people that emailed back with their entry histories. Sorry about if I wasn't able to get to you. But I selected 4 different players' entry histories. They all just happen to be DraftKings in this instance. But I picked the ones that had solid sample sizes and illustrated kind of general concepts that I found are very common when looking at people's entry histories and examining their Bankroll Tracker results. So we'll go ahead and start with the first user. So all you need to do is drag and drop that file into this box. Sometimes if the file is bigger, it could take a little bit more time, but you can see that the file was successfully uploaded. Next, you can go to the Bankroll Tracker, and it should show you your results. So before we dive into the results here, I want to give you an overview of what we're showing here. So you can filter by sites, you can filter by sport, and you can filter by a custom date range. So if, for example, you've changed your strategy recently and you want to see how you're doing this month, you can select this month and it'll update all of this data accordingly. Over here we have a number of stats that we show. If you click the question mark icon here, it'll give you a legend explaining what each of these mean. The key things I like to look at are your net profit and your ROI. So you can see that this player is down almost $4,000 with a negative 16% ROI. So not looking too great, but the good thing is I do have some recommendations based off of the results here on how this player can improve their contest entry strategy and become a profitable player. Over here we have the cumulative profit. You can see the player's pretty much steadily been losing over time with it seems like one big win here. You can also select the score. So this is the score for the player over time. So for right now, why don't we actually filter by MBA so that the score is actually normalized on a certain scale. So you can see this is 2015 here, 2016 here. If you kind of eyeball the average here, it's right around like this kind of 225 mark, whereas his average over here is probably around 250. So you can see that this player's average score has improved from kind of the first part of 2015 to the start of 2016. So it does appear that the player has gotten better over time. So that's a good sign. And there's a number of other stats here that we show, so I'll just stick with profit for now. Down here we have different data shown by contest type, contest size, and entry fee. And so these are broken down by different cohorts to allow you to see in more detail where you are performing well and where you're performing poorly. And for the most part, I'm going to focus on this ROI column because the net profit can be misleading since your entry fees may have been different. So ROI is kind of the key stat that you want to look at. So if and then also kind of the number of entries, because that affects the sample size. So for example, 7 entries, 2 entries. This data is not really reliable because the sample size is too small. But you can see that most of this player's entries are at the 10x level and at the GPP level. And he's pretty much losing at all of it. Slightly less bad at the 10x level than at the GPP level. But what I really want to focus on is if we go to the entry fee, you can see here that this player is actually profitable at the 1 cent to $1 level, or the micro stakes level. And as he moves up in stakes, he starts to lose more money. And you can kind of see that the average score required to win kind of goes up, especially at the higher stakes. And this is generally reflective of my hypothesis for this is that a lot of the pros are regular players at above $5, $10 levels. And so as you move up stakes, you're more and more likely to play against other pros. And in the last, I think it was 6 months to a year, FanDuel and DraftKings implemented a contest limit for $10 and below contests. And so a lot of the pros that are playing at $10 and below are probably skewing their entry contests to like the $5, $3 to $10 range. And so that's why I think at the $2 and below, and especially at the $1 level, it's a lot easier to generate a profit than at the, let's say, $3 and above level. And so you can see for this player, he's up 85%. He's down $2,400, and the vast majority of that is due to this $3 to $5 entry fee group. But if this player were to just play $1 or below, he would actually be a profitable player. And so that's what I would recommend to this players. And for most players, I would recommend start at the $1 lower level and show that you can become a winning player there. Then move up to the $2 level and see if you can break even or generate profit there, and so on and so forth, and move up slowly across the ranks, as opposed to trying to jump straight into kind of the middle tiers here. And I know that the biggest GPP prize pools are in that kind of $3, $5 range, but that can be kind of this false hope where you're basically being thrown in with the sharks, putting in a lot of entries when your competition is going to be a lot weaker at the $1 and $2 levels. So that's what I would recommend for this player. We can try to take a look at MLB to see if there's any significant difference here. You can pretty much see that the results are very similar. He's a profitable player at the $1 level, and pretty much a losing player above. It seems like he did decently well at this $6 to $20 level, but the sample size is a little bit smaller here. Let's look at the contest type. So he's actually slightly above break even at the GPP level. So MLB GPP is where I would focus more of my time if I were this user. I think he spends a little bit too much emphasis on this 10x tier, and he's a loser again here. So if I'm this player, I would focus less on this 10x. I would put more into MLB GPPs at the $1 or $2 entry fee level. Perhaps you can try experimenting with some cash games, triple up, quintuple up, and see how your results here would fare. But it seems pretty clear that 10x is just not very profitable for this user. All right, let's go to another user. So we'll go to user 2. Okay, let's go to the tracker. And I'm going to filter by NBA to start. Okay, so this user is slightly negative ROI, and it's kind of gone up and down. Take a look at the scores. Scores have been trending down towards the end of the season. Although part of that is due to playoffs, so having fewer options and defenses being better. So that's not necessarily fully indicative of change in strategy. Now, if we look at by contest type here, you can see that this player is not a very strong cash game player. This double up and 50-50 group, they're not really working out too well for him. The 10x is actually working out decently well, which is the opposite of the first player. 3-player, 5-player all look good, and GPPs look good. And one thing of note here is that if you look at his 50-50 and like double up average winning score here, his winning score here is not that far off from the average winning score of the GPP multi-entry. And usually, in GPP, you have a lot more upside than simply getting, doubling up minus 10% rake for 50-50s. So this player, I'd recommend playing a lot more GPPs than cash games, which it seems like he's already doing if you look at the number of entries he's putting in. Perhaps you can try experimenting a little bit more at these 10x, 3-player, 5-player levels. It does seem like his lineup creation strategy is already geared more towards GPPs. A 30% win rate at GPPs is very good, since I think most GPPs usually pay out like the top 22, 23% or so of players. Whereas, if your win rate is 40% cash games, you're basically a loser. So this indicates to me that this player's strategy is a lot more volatile, which is very well suited for GPPs. All right, if we sort by entry fee, we'll find similar results here, very similar results here to the first player. This player's already figured out that $1 and lower stakes is the place to be. He's basically break even there, and slightly positive with a much smaller sample size at the $2 level. I mean, this 31% ROI looks really good, so perhaps it's possible that he's actually more profitable at $2 level than $1 level, but this could also be a small sample size issue with a big win. Perhaps what caused this jump here, I'm not exactly sure. But you can see that at the $3 and above level, this player is not as big of a winner. And generally, you can see that as the stakes go up, the average winning score to cash goes up as well. And that can make a pretty big difference to your bottom line. So let's take a look at MLB. We'll start by looking at the contest type again. This player doesn't really have many games here. So I think this player also had NFL. Yeah. Okay, so contest type for NFL. This player's positive ROI at GPPs. Again, not that great at cash. Sample size on these are lower. Again, very profitable at $1 and lower, and not profitable above. So again, really can't stress this enough. If you're a new player, you're trying to figure out how to play DFS, how to stick around in the long term, stick to that $1 level, stick to that $2 level, and figure out how to be profitable first before you jump into the $3, $5, $10 levels and above. All right, so these first two players were both losers, and you can see that if these players just focus on these levels, they can be profitable players. Now let's go to player 3. Okay. So player 3 is a profitable player, positive 20% ROI, which is really good. Obviously, this is still a small sample size when you're talking about the large scheme of things. It seems like he had a big win here. Now, let's see. I think this player has played the most MLB games, so we'll focus on that first. All right, so this player, as opposed to the last player, is more profitable at cash games, as you can see here, than he is at GPPs. The double ups have worked out really well for him. And so I'd recommend that he play more double ups, maybe try out these triple ups, quintuple ups a little bit more, and see how he does with those. The GPPs aren't working out too well, but honestly, this isn't hurting him too much, and the playing the cash games kind of helps him fund these GPPs. So it's kind of working out for him. And if we go to the entry fee, you can see, yeah, the $1 level, extremely $1 and $2 level is very profitable. The profitability kind of goes down as he's moving up stakes. And you can see again that the average score to win on average kind of goes up as you move up stakes. Let's check out NBA, go to contest type. Now, this is interesting. So he was a profitable cash game MLB player, but at NBA, he's more profitable at GPP, and less and negative ROI at cash games, actually. Now, again, part of that could be due to this very large jump here, which could be due to a small sample size. But this is why it's helpful to do this type of bankroll tracker analysis, because how you fare in each sport or each site could be very different, and you could be a better cash game player on one or a better GPP player on the other. But looking at the data and analyzing it helps you really pinpoint where your strengths and weaknesses are and how you can improve your play to improve your win rate and end up making more money. So let's go to entry fee. So it looks like this player is pretty solid across the board. Yeah, I don't have too much feedback here. I think generally, most of the feedback applies to that first group that we were talking about for MLB. Okay, let's look at player 4. All right, and we'll go to the bankroll tracker view. So this player is looking pretty good, actually really good, 31% ROI, $6,000 profit. That's great, very consistent upward movement. Take a look at the scores. Actually, we need to filter by sport. I think this player is mostly an NBA and baseball player. So score's been interesting. We'll go back to the cumulative profit. So this guy is a more GPP oriented player, and you can kind of see that his results are pretty volatile and jumping up and down. And if we go to the finish, you can kind of see that basically for cash game, you kind of want all of your finishes to be like right in the middle here, where actually one is a first place finish, so you want it to be lower. But he gets a lot of these, bottom ones, which are really great. And when you embrace volatility, that usually means you're going to have some pretty shitty finishes as well. But overall, it's pretty good. So if we go down to this contest type section, this player's a profitable GPP player, not so profitable at cash games. Head-to-head doesn't look that great here. Part of head-to-head strategy, you might want to, if it's not working out well for you, you may want to, especially with DraftKings and FanDuel implementing the new experienced player badges, and Yahoo as well, you probably want to focus on picking matchups instead of creating your own matchups, because if you create your matchups, the pros can kind of pick you out of the wild and eat you up, especially if you're a new player. So if you're picking your opponent, then that way you can kind of track how you perform against a specific opponent. Or ideally, you're selecting head-to-head opponents who do not have that experienced player badge. Yeah, so this player looks pretty good at GPPs. Let's take a look at entry fee breakdown. So this player lives and breathes the mantra that I've been talking about. If you just focus at that $1 lower level, you can make a lot of money. And a lot of people think that, hey, I have to go for, those 100K, 150K price pool GPPs to make money. No, you don't. If you look at, the data here, the $1 level and below, that's where the money's at. If, obviously you're not going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars if you're going at it this way. But if you enjoy DFS, you want to grind it out, you want to make a profit, this is where you start. And if you can start making a profit here, then you can start thinking about moving up stakes, and over time building up your bankroll to a point where you can sustain at these higher stakes, in a responsible manner. So this player kind of lives and breathes that mantra. We'll go take a look at MLB. So he's also profitable at MLB, by entry fee again, really focusing on that $1 level. At higher stakes, he's not as profitable. These are small sample size, but I mean, $3 to $5 level, he's had 1,100 entries. So that's a decent sample. And you can see that if you compare these two cohorts, it takes an average score of like about 8 fantasy points higher in order to cash at the $3 to $5 level than at the $1 level. And that's a pretty big hit to your win rate. When this might be about break even or slightly negative, 30% is a great win rate. And so that difference, of competition level that causes this average winning score difference is why the $1 and lower stakes is so great, especially for newer players. All right, so one thing that I want to mention is when you're talking about bankroll management, if you're a positive ROI player, you generally probably want to spend something like 5 to 10% of your bankroll max on GPPs, and that's if you're at this guy's level where he's very profitable. If you're not a positive ROI player, or essentially you're a losing player, generally you're gonna lose money in the long run. So I'd recommend playing less than 3% of your bankroll on any given day, if you're a negative ROI player at GPPs. For cash games, I would recommend 5 to 10%. If you're a negative ROI player, would be max. And if you're a profitable player, that can go up from there. And it really depends on what your win rate is. There's something called the Kelly criterion, which is used by Warren Buffett for his investment strategy to figure out how much should you wager as a percentage of your bankroll, given your win rate and your odds, or return on investment, in order to maximize your long-term profitability. So if you want to look into it, you can Google Kelly criterion and investigate that in more detail. But as a whole, I would recommend, as a general rule of thumb, if you're new, try to limit your allocation to 5 to 10%, less than 5% for GPPs. And if you're profitable, then you can kind of play around with that, and it's more flexible. So the biggest kind of learning lesson is stick to that $1 level, maybe the $2 level, until you show that you're a winner, and take a look at your data. Go upload your own results, analyze it, and over time continue to come back, iterate, and improve. And hopefully one day you'll get to the point where you can get to that $5, $10, $20 level and above. So I hope this was helpful. You can actually upload your own results for free. The first 1,000 entries are free. And above that, we offer a number of premium packages. And so, you get 10,000, 25,000, 50,000 bankroll entries as part of a larger package of premium features that are offered to Daily Fantasy Nerd Premium users. So you can learn more about what our plans offer on the premium page. And I hope that this bankroll tracker tutorial video was a good learning lesson for you, and I wish you the best of luck.